All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue. We're going to try and knock out probably about 20 minutes worth of notes here. Hopefully, you're able to go back and watch those videos I posted yesterday. Today, we're going to get into how and why we choose groups to be a part of, and a lot of it's conscious and some of it's unconscious, similar to what we talked about or what I showed you with the bystander effect, and how when essentially a de facto group was created by those people not helping, and then vice versa, a group was created by people who did choose to help. So we're going to move on. There are four things that attract us to be a part of a group, four sources of attraction. The first one is proximity, and this kind of makes sense. The idea is that people will work harder to make friends with those whom they are closest to physically. This is also known as the mere exposure effect. And you can think about this in your classes. How many of the rest of your classes? I know in here, many of you talk to those who are around you. Some of it's by choice, because obviously there's not many people in this class, so you have your choice of who you sit by. But even in your other classes that are a bit more full, how many of you have chosen to somewhat befriend maybe somebody who sits close to you for no other reason than they're right next to you? Obviously there's going to be some exceptions, but overall, we have a tendency to try and be attracted to people who are just physically closer to us, and that's proximity. It's the mere exposure effect. Number two is similarity. Again, people usually find it more rewarding to have relationships with someone who shares the same attitudes, interests, values, and experiences as they do. And again, think about yourself and think about your friends. Do you all have some of the same attitudes, interests, values, and experiences? I know a lot of the friends on the girls softball team, they have a lot of that same attitudes of, really liking competition and liking the game. With values, and interests, athletic interests, experiences, and things like that. So a lot of those friends all have things that are in common, and and this goes back to C.S. Lewis in his book The Four Loves, talked about the friendship kind of love. Is essentially, one of the first friendships you have is, oh, you like this thing? I like this thing. Let's be friends. That's how that happens. Number three, self-disclosure. It takes time to develop the trust necessary to share intimate details about oneself. And generally, we want to spend time around those who know us best. So there's a couple things with this one. Again, number one, it's going to be people you spend time around, and it's going to be people who, because of the fact you spend time around them, are going to know you pretty well. You're going to share intimate details, whether it be in stories or, this is what happened to me today, or it could just be from being around them a long period of time. You just get to know people's nuances. You get to know people's idiosyncrasies. You all have probably noticed some idiosyncrasies about me, because we've been in this class for almost a year, and must be, yeah. So, yes, I just lost my train of thought. But anyways, you tend to be attracted to people who know you the best. And then number four, physical attractiveness. Yes, it is vain, but it's reality. People are generally attracted to those who are more physically attractive. But there's a caveat to this. And, average people have a tendency to be seen as attractive. Beautiful people have a tendency to be seen as unapproachable. They're almost too pretty to talk to. I fall into that category. I figure that's why not a lot of people approach me. I'm just kidding. But you knew I was going to say that, right? Because you all know an idiosyncrasy of mine is to talk about how pretty I am. So anyways, as we kind of come full circle, let's bring it back to reality. So there's a couple things going on with that. Obviously, you want to be around people who are attractive, but at the same time, if people are too attractive, then they're seen as, that's maybe out of my league, or he's out of my league, or she's out of my league. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind when we're talking about the things that attract people to other people. There are some other theories of attraction. There's the reward theory of attraction is not only a theory about why we are attracted, but who we are attracted to. One of them is the matching hypothesis. This is a prediction that most people will find friends and mates that are perceived to be about their same level of attractiveness. And how this was studied, I guess, is that people actually rated from 1 to 10 the attractiveness of individuals, and then people would then say which individuals would be more likely to be together. And they always tended to match the 7s with the 7s, the 6s with the 6s, the 9s with the 9s, the 3s with the 3s. And it turns out, even in practice, if you were said there are 6 different couples here, just by looking at them, number one, rate them, and then number two, how would you say that they are arranged as a couple? And that generally that turned out to be the case. So that's called the matching hypothesis. 7s with 7s, or at least something close. If you're a 7, you might be able to do 6, 7, or 8. So my wife is a 10, so that makes me a 9, 10, or maybe even an 11. I don't know if she'll ever see this, but I hope she does. Moving on, the expectancy value theory, the theory that people decide to pursue a relationship by weighing the potential value of the relationship against their chances of succeeding in that relationship. Are the chances of me succeeding worth the value of the relationship against it not? We try to have relationships with the most attractive people we think will probably like us in return, minimizing the risk of failure. So this is kind of a way to keep from failing at a relationship. And that leads us to making cognitive attributions. And this is sort of the one on the tail end. We're going to probably be on this a couple days, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this part now. I'm going to introduce it, and then tomorrow when we come to class, I have an activity we're going to do, and then we're going to do a little more PowerPoint or a few more notes on attributions. First thing I want to talk about is the cognitive dissonance theory. And I may have mentioned this early on. I don't remember if I mentioned it at length, at least early on in the year. But cognitive dissonance theory is this. It says that when people's cognitions or thoughts and actions are in conflict or a state of dissonance, they often reduce the conflict by changing their thinking to fit their behavior. Pain is just weakness leaving the body is an example. And what I mean by that is nobody likes pain. All right. But we know we have to work out. We have to, if we want to stay in shape, we got to lift weights. So that creates a dissonance. We know the thing we have to do, but we don't want to do it. So we change our thinking. Pain is just weakness leaving the body. And that lessens the state of the conflict. Some other ones. I used to hear this from my mother-in-law. She was a nurse. So cognitively, she knew smoking was bad for you. Yet, she still smoked. That creates a cognitive dissonance. It's bad for you, but you still do it. So how did she reduce the conflict? She basically said that the research has been unconclusive, like true scientific research. And there's a few other ones we can talk about. I think drugs is one, or drugs are one. Or not doing something you know is good for you. Again, kind of like working out. Attitude and behavior. Do the attitudes tell us about someone's behavior? In Lapierre's cognitive dissonance study, people wanted to have consistent attitudes and behaviors. When they are not, they experience, again, dissonance or unpleasant tension. Because of this, their attitudes change. Here's another example. You know that cheating on tests is bad. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Hello? Yes, it has been canceled. Yes. Did you hear me? Yeah, that was my fault. I got a hold of everybody except for you. Sorry. All right, goodbye. Sorry about that. Where am I? Here. Okay. I'll try and edit that out. Anyways, we know that cheating on tests is bad, yet we still do it. You still cheat on a test. So, and I know people in here have done that. So the question is, how do you lessen that cognitive dissonance? And I hear this all the time. The teacher was really bad in that class, so it's okay to cheat. No, there's a couple things going on there. And here's another example. Why should I hire you as a consultant? I use my special process of cognitive dissonance to improve employee morale. How does that work? When people are in an absurd situation, their minds rationalize it by inventing a comfortable illusion. Okay, go do it. Isn't it strange that you have this dead-end job when you're twice as smart as your boss? Hours are long, the pay is mediocre, nobody respects your contributions, yet you freely choose to work here. It's absurd. No way. There must be a reason. I must work here because I love this work. I love this job. All right, so there you go. He changed his thought process. All right, so fundamental attribution error is actually what we're going to get at tomorrow. We're going to do some things with this. We're going to judge some people some more, a little bit kind of like what we did today. But again, to kind of review, cognitive dissonance is something you will need to know about on the AP exam. Also, the theories of attraction, proximity, similarity, self-disclosure, and physical attractiveness. So tomorrow we're going to do something on fundamental attribution error. We're going to look at the effects and things like that. So, but anyways, hope you all have a good day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out.